All right, let's see what Quinn has to say. Is Diablo 4 good now?
Is Diablo 4 bad? Or is it good now if they saved it? I don't know.
Diablo 4 okay-ish? Better?
What are some of the W changes Blizzard has made, with the Season 2 patch? So they made the horse run faster, and they made him
It
less
actually
buggy.
is kind of zoomy.
Now, he still does bug out, okay? Still, like, you're trying to go through zones, and it's like...
This is true. Going around corners, like, I still get hit on... Sometimes I get hit on, like, a rock or something. But it is definitely noticeably better, I agree.
But, for the most part, it's significantly better. And then when you're trying to traverse through the dead solar zones of Diablo 4, and you're trying to get to a destination, you can get there faster. So, that's overall, you're going to enjoy yourself slightly more because you don't have to endure it as long,
Like that little, where he was walking past that little thing right there, that you 100% got stuck last time.
Okay. No, but seriously, the horse changes. Good job. Keep
Agreed.
up those, we could still see another horse patch. They can get rid of some of the more bugs, but, good job, Blizzard. They also took a mechanic that was completely broken, bugged, and should never have been implemented in the way it was. I don't even know how it made it to life, but, resists. They took resists, and they took that mechanic, and then they made it functional. Now,
It actually works.
perfect. No, it's not perfect. It's, they could do plenty of things to make it better, but resists are significantly better. I would go ahead to say it's 100x, 200x.
Yeah, I mean, it's infinite because you can't times 0 by something, right? Because it'd just be 0. Right, so it's amazingly better.
300x as good as it used to be, so good job there, Blizzard. So now that we've got all the positive things out of the way, let's talk about the stuff that's complete.
Wait, hold on. The only positives. Wait, am I hearing this right? The only positives are the horse and the resistance. Oh my, this is going to be a Diablo 4 still bad video. 100% calling it
Trash. And now, this isn't just supposed to be a video that's just saying D4 bad, okay? Because it's not this. It's supposed to be a feedback video and some takes, that maybe the Blizzard devs will look at and think, maybe we should consider that. So, one of the bigger things I want to cover that I feel like a lot of people are not, and in fact, people are even praising this, which kind of blows my mind, and that is itemization changes.
They didn't really change the items. So they didn't change the items. They changed how you acquired the items. And I hate it. I think he's going to go and I'm going to agree with it. But I hate it that people confuse the two. How you get an item, like how you get a new unique, is different than the items themselves actually being different. Now, I know they changed some of the affixes, but there's no new affixes. They didn't rework the way items work in affixes. I think we all agree that at this point in the game, that affixes on items are boring. So the items themselves are still boring, but the way you get them are more fun. That is my take so far.
I think straight up in Season 2, items feel worse. I feel like that's not even close. I am more flaccid than ever whenever I see an item drop on the ground. I don't know what to tell you. This is to do with the critical strike and vulnerability changes. So with the Season 2 patch, what they did is they made vulnerability no longer a multiplier. Well, okay, the base mechanic is a multiplier, so it multiplies your damage output by 1.2. But the increases to vulnerable damage, just additive, normal increased damage. It's the same. If it says 20% increased vulnerable damage, it's the same as 20% whatever the fuck damage, else in your gear.
He's actually kind of right about it. This is what I was saying when they released this on the live stream. I was saying, so it's kind of the same as everything else. Like, no matter, you're just going to go by, this is a higher percentage, I'll take that. I get where he's going with this.
Effectively doesn't do much. And then critical strike, the same thing happened. The base mechanic is a 1.5x multiplier, and then it all increases to your critical strike damage on your gear. It's just additive increased damage. And you're like, well, what do you mean? It was OP. Of course they had to make this change. Well, what they've done is they've basically made all damage on your gear homogeneous. It's all the same. But all the mechanics that say...
Yes, in terms of the items themselves. I think what they're trying to do is basically make it where the multiplicative or multiplicative, I know I trigger everyone by saying this wrong all the time. I apologize. Is that they're trying to make that elsewhere. So like the sorcerer, for instance, you get more percentage of burning or what have you, and then multiplies through the Paragon board. I think what they're trying to do is make it where, depending upon the other parts of the game, I don't think it's there yet, to agree with him, but I think they're trying to make it through the other parts of the game is where you get those more modifiers from.
Increased damage while running on Tuesdays. Increased damage to monsters when you're behind them and your character has like some buff. And that's all the same shit. It just, you see an item, it's got damage mods, and there's nothing really special about it. You're looking at it and you're like, okay, well, this one here, only works in this situation, but I mean, it's got a 1.2% more number on that one. And you're sitting there, and ultimately, high number, good. Now, obviously, there are still things on items that actually are designed well, like, plus to skills, things that, still exist in the game that actually will make differences, like cooldown reduction, the defensive mechanics, I like those. But when it comes to damage on your gear in the current implementation, it's just worse. It's just worse. And picking up...
I actually agree with him. I know some people might think it's a hot take because the season feels better, but items actually feel worse because there's no dopamine around items before, and now the crit and vulnerability were the one thing you were excited to see before. Now when that doesn't show up on an item, or because those aren't as exciting as they used to be, that was the one thing you were excited by before, and now you're basically excited by nothing unless you get multiple affixes that are perfect for your build and you get perfect row. So the amount of being excited when you see an item drop has gone down in the later portion of the game. I don't think this is a hot take.
Items to me now in Season 2, I'm falling asleep, bro. I am fully flaccid. Why is that? It's because the feeling of min-maxing your character is not there. The feeling, I'm playing this build, so I need these rolls, and oh my god, if you're playing a bleed build, you could be getting some mods which give you like physical damage over time multi, or bleeds go faster, or something that fundamentally changes the way your build gets. Like a really OP thing. It just doesn't exist for the majority of builds in the game, outside of, the few things I mentioned before. Hence making items feel, really shit. I guess what I'm saying is, Blizzard should, not even Blizzard, all ARPG items, they should have ultra best in slot rolls. They should have giga OP rolls that are insane, except for only certain builds. There should be...
Yes, so basically what he's trying to express is that certain modifiers should be more important depending upon the build that you actually have. And this is the why last season basically felt bad, was because crit and vulnerability was better no matter what build you have. So there was a Giga Chad OP one. So your reaction might be, well, Quinn, obviously we had faux Giga Chads before. Like, we had vulnerability, we had critical strike damage before. So why are you saying that we need these when they just nerfed it because people thought it was too boring? Well, what he's actually saying is, if you're doing a burning build, then burning should be a really good one. So you can do a burning style build, or maybe lightning damage would be good if you're doing a lightning build. He's not wrong about this. I mean, this is some of the reason the PoE was so exciting for me, because I was able to build armor, do the shield crush build, use a weapon that made my armor with a replica, I think it was replica Dream Feather or something, that made it where my armor helped me do more damage, and I was able to get the impel in it, etc. So he's effectively trying to say there should be ways that you can change your character, that when you change your character, fundamentally change the way the items interact with your character. And I think this is a perfectly reasonable want out of the game. I agree with him.
Many different ways to build your character, and there should be many roles that effectively do nothing, and then there should be some roles that are insanely overpowered if you're playing a specific physical build that does damage over time, or if you're playing a specific fire build that does big hits, whatever. There should be overpowered broken rolls on different pieces of gear that synergize really well with certain archetypes, so you get those exciting moments of finding an item that is like, wow, this item is literally going to change my damage so much because these things scale my my multiplier and this thing. Yep. Whereas it's the opposite. They also need to just, when it comes to itemization, all this conditional trash, all the 500 different increased damage, which are effectively all the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, look at these. In this is the one that gets me. Damage versus slowed, damage versus stunned are the same thing. Damage versus CC'd, and then there's chilled, which is kind of like slowed, but stacks to frozen, right? Immobilized. There's about 5 or 6 different varieties of something that's kind of the same thing. And there's so many of these, I don't even want to read them, is the problem.
That have conditions. They were dog shit at the beginning. They're still dog shit now. I think they just need to be just completely redone. They just need to look at those items and just
I think if they do what he's saying and they actually fix itemization, which, by the way, I believe they're trying to make the game better. So even if we're going to talk about it and say, like, oh, this part of the game is bad, etc., I think that, one, I'm just going to be clear, I think the game released too early. I think they know it. I think we all know it. I think they're trying to make the game better. Why would you try to make your game worse? They're going to attempt to fix itemization at some point. Maybe it's copium, but I do believe that they're going to try to get there. Maybe it's in 5 years. Maybe it's tomorrow. I don't know. I'm not the developer of the game, but I do believe that itemization is one of the key points where if we got itemization to the point where items feel really good and they're exciting, the game instantly becomes significantly better because now I like the way we acquire items better. So the gameplay loop in Season 2 feels better to me. Fighting bosses and getting unique drops, I like way more personally. So if we get it where now the acquisition of it is more fun, but the items themselves still feel bad, if we fix that part of it, then we got something. So let's see.
Throw it in the trash can. And then when they do that, they're going to have to rebalance. Of course, when they make these changes and they make these overpowered multiplier rolls on the gear and stuff, you're going to have to rebalance the world. You're going to rebalance the stats on the gear, all that stuff. And, you just do it. It's an ARPG. And, I feel like items feeling good is kind of a pretty important thing. Also, crafting, it doesn't exist.
100% doesn't exist. And on top of it, crafting in PoE, again, I'm going to use PoE as an example. I know some people hate it when I compare PoE to Diablo 4 because PoE's been out for 10 years and they all this time to basically build the game from the ground up. I get it, okay? You're not wrong. But PoE is the competitor in the same market, so I'm going to use it because they are directly trying to get you, the person watching, to decide, am I going to play PoE or Diablo? You're not going to play both games at the same second, right? So they're trying to compete against them. So in PoE, crafting itself is a reason to make me log into that game over Diablo 4. I actually quite enjoy the crafting of PoE, and because they have solo self-find, etc., it gives you another way of getting the dopamine and making the items exciting. Because maybe you're not going to get 100% of the drop that you really want directly from the item, but you can maybe craft one or you can build towards that one, etc., which gives you another way sort of getting that dopamine excitement around itemization, and specifically for solo self-found, which I would hope they would eventually implement in Diablo 4. Now, I know trading's not really a thing in Diablo 4, at least not yet. I know there's boss trading, but I think from what I know, it's already bugged again for duplication and is canceled one more time, if I remember correctly, so...
You can roll one stat. What the fuck is that? I guess that's that's a baseline. But then not only that, even if crafting was possible, it would be pointless because itemization's so bad. So really, it's a multi-step issue. They fix itemization and then also make crafting better. I know I'm asking for a lot, but these are just things that really, as a gamer, kind of upset me. And then speaking of crafting, actually, why do blue and white items exist? Like, we have this auto salvaging mechanic that you've implemented. I mean, you can just drop the materials now anyways. So why the hell are these useless blue and white items dropping if they're not used for crafting? We get them.
I'm cool with them existing because items are good because they're better than other items. In order for items to be good, then you need items that are bad. Or else it's just, we're kind of back to the same thing with the itemization complaint he had where everything is the same. So if the only thing that dropped in the game was a yellow, and that is literally it, it's more boring to get. Now I get what he's saying that they're not useful because they're not. And in PoE, some of the other items, whites, blues, etc., they can have some use, whereas in our game, they literally don't. But if they do add the crafting that he wants, that does give them the opportunity to make white and blue items actually do something. So maybe right now they're completely worthless, and they are. But it's maybe having them in the game fundamentally isn't a bad concept.
Matt's dropping anyway. I don't know, dude. It doesn't really make sense. We could talk about loot filters, but I'll talk about that later. Overall, yeah. So Blizzard, we need OP rolls. You need to bring them back. Now, just don't make them generically overpowered for everyone with just those two stats.
Agreed.
Many different ways of being OP, but then make them specific to builds. Don't add conditional bullshit onto them. Just make them work in various ways. And where, it would be OP for someone and then complete useless for someone else. And then you can have cool things where you trade items. It's all around just a net positive.
Yeah, true. And as I think about it, I did enjoy the fact that gems no longer drop and go as crafting materials. So I do like his point about whites and blues could be actually crafting materials. And then I did also like the change that Ancestros only drop in tier 4 and Sacreds no longer drop. So as I think about it, I'm getting more convinced towards this point of whites and blues shouldn't be in the game. Okay, I might change my stance on that. I could be talked into it.
Now, boss changes. So, in Season 2, they added in a bunch of bosses. Actually, a positive. These bosses drop items, and, you can farm them out. If you need a specific item, you can go to that boss, and you can farm that boss out. Not only that, the bosses also incentivize you to go out and do different types of in-game, which is, kind of cool. Except for the fact... Huge damage, ramping. He's knocked down. I'm bursting. Why would you make a boss that does no damage? This is the hardest version of the boss, chat. Bro, my vampiric powers weren't even active.
Holy ears. My ears. What is going on with the audio in this clip?
Is this gonna die, or is this phase 1? What do you guys think? Is this phase 1?
Yeah.
The bosses are all just completely trivial. They just drop.
I don't want to hear that, man. I just came back from TwitchCon. We're doing this React Live. I've gotta log into my level 61 hardcore and actually fight these bosses. I don't want to hear these bosses are trash. This is making me sad. You're telling me I got nothing to look forward to over here, Quinn? Come on, man. Oh no, this is not good.
Really do just fall over. Dead, even on my character, which is not considered OP by any means, necessary. It's like I'm playing an ultra mid build, a Blizzard TM build, and every single boss I fought, all the new Ubers, Duriel, all that, a complete joke.
Oh no!
Now this is an issue. Why is it an issue? It's because that effectively the bosses were supposed to be the new in-game static content, and if all the bosses are just pushovers and they just die, what do you do? Like, there's no content.
Is it possible they're going to do it like PoE, where these are the entry-level versions? Someone says in here, hear me out, they'll be strong in tier 5. Is it possible these are like the tutorial versions, like in PoE? But then, even Shaper was like kind of hard, right? For the tutorial version or whatever. Is it possible, can I get my copium here for a moment? Is it possible that we're learning the bosses now and all the difficulty surely is going to ramp? The problem is every time there's a problem, I have to be like, oh no, they're going to fix it. Oh no, they're going to. So at what point is it just like, it is what it is, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to get in my copium. Come on, let me have the copium on this one.
And in a game which has no content, fundamentally, it's dog shit, right? Because you got nothing to do. Like, what the fuck? You just play. What are you going to do? You expect us to come back and then the bosses that are added in just, So I guess what I'm saying is...
Okay, fair.
They need to hard rebalance all the bosses. And not only that, some of the things like, where they incentivize you to go out and, like, farm these materials to spawn these bosses, they're locked behind legions. I don't like locking bosses behind group content pretty much ever. Like, I'm playing on the Oceanic servers, they're dead. Nobody's playing on Oceanic. I mean, it makes it feel honestly like default.
This is actually an interesting point by him here, which I didn't think about. So when we did the Legion at level like 60 or what it was before I left for TwitchCon, I literally had one other person at the Legion already. So I'm not sure if I was too slow or too fast, or there's just not enough people. But the Legion I was basically doing by myself, which doesn't feel that fun. I'm going to admit it.
Forrest did. I cannot complete a Legion by myself with my Blizzard certified build. I cannot get the materials to spawn the boss. That's an issue. Locking materials behind group. I mean, think about it. Imagine if world bosses weren't a complete joke. Imagine if I couldn't solo world bosses. How are you ever going to get the, materials at that point? But
that's a decent point, honestly. That's actually a really good point.
Why did no one remind me? I did that whole world boss without the 80% attack speed buff. So I guess what I'm saying is, yeah. Come on. Fix the bosses. The new vampire mechanic, Helltide 2, I think it's, honestly, I think it's kind of mid. The power's okay. That you get the vampire powers. I like the fact that they're class agnostic. But there was nothing truly inspiring there that made me want to like do a new build or re-roll around. It was just kind of like, okay, yeah, these are kind of nice. The upgrading menu for upgrading powers. Oh my god. Never do that again, Blizzard. Never ever. You need to seriously. Why do I need to click so many times just to upgrade my powers? I was getting RSL. I'm an old man. Come on. On something that makes sense.
Yeah, I kind of agree about this part, about like this part right here where it's kind of annoying.
Powers. I was getting RSL. I'm an old man. Come on. On top of that, anything that makes sense to be account bound should be account bound. I don't know if that goes without saying. I mean, I don't know if Blizzard have learned their lesson. I don't know if they've talked to the World of Warcraft devs. If it makes sense to make it account bound, just do it. It's stupid that the fact that your character specific powers makes no sense. Some other things.
I actually kind of like that point. If you allow yourself to be able to level the powers, then it makes making new characters more common. Someone in the chat here said that Zizarin said he got about a week worth of content and he's okay with that out of D4. And I think if we made it super easy for each and every new character, not like super easy enough where, it's a joke, but like if you make it, let's say, quality of life, okay? So your characters can be fundamentally easier for the next one to make, okay? So like if I play a druid and I level my powers and put all these hours into powers, then I go make a new character, but I know this, I'm like, oh, I have to do all of these annoying mechanics again. Like Renown was this way, right? Then I'm probably just not going to do it. So if we remove the things and make it where people aren't going to just make a new character, then you might stretch that week of new content to 2 weeks of new content. You know what I mean? So I'm okay with this. I think it's making some sense here.
That really were exaggerated this season, I think. The fact that there's no SSF mode. If I farm out all the mats to get one Duriel boss, and I go run that, I'm basically an idiot, right? I'm an idiot because I could also just get 3 other friends who also have one boss, and then we could get 4 boss kills instead of 1 boss kill. And then that just makes you feel like a moron, right? So come on, just give us a flag, even though it's not true SSF, because technically you can, whatever, be in the open world and people could help. Who cares? Just give us a little flag that has a little leaf next to it that says, this guy's SSF, so that way you don't really feel as stupid for doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the game balancing overall in the current state of D4 is complete trash. Everything in the game is just too easy. It's trivial. I mean, dude, I don't even think that even a single gamer died. In hardcore, that is.
Except me. I got disconnected and came back to my character gone, and then had a little bit of a rage moment, and then died again. So that's great. And then hopefully we're not going to die again today on stream. So let's not talk about that. But all right.
Now, that's because A, the game's too easy, and then B, also you have a cheat death and vulnerability potion in the game, and then you have an instantaneous teleport that gets you out of any situation. What this does, I don't know if you know Blizzard, but effectively it means everyone, providing you have a reaction time of less than 2,500 milliseconds, you can just proc your cheat death and realize, oh, my cheat death's procced, teleport to immediate safety, and then you can never die. So basically, I guess what I'm saying is make the game harder, and then also remove cheat deaths. Like, why do cheat deaths exist in a game where you can teleport?
Okay, my hot take is cheat deaths exist in the game as a way to make people less angry when they die to bugs and bullshit, and they had to have cheat deaths originally because they probably didn't know if the whole game was going to be fucking bugged and people were dying all the time. Imagine if every single person on these... I mean, Woody Joe had like 40,000 live viewers when the game launched. Imagine all these people playing the game and they had a fuckload of bugs to the point where everyone's getting one shot all the time. And it's just, imagine the negative press of constantly every single person losing their character to the bugs there. So cheat death gives you a little bit of wiggle room for them in the court of public opinion would be what I probably think happened. I'm okay with the cheat death potions, but to be honest, I'm also pretty okay with if they remove it. I do like that disconnect protection happens with the scroll of escape. I like that because disconnects are actually a thing. But, I could go either way on cheat death. I don't really have a strong opinion. You know what I mean? I like hardcore. I use the cheat death potion sometimes. I forget about it the other times. But I've definitely had moments where my cheat death potion procced, and I was just like, oh, and with my 3,000 millisecond boomer brain, was able to, let me hit the button, click on scroll of escape, and get out. So I get what he's saying. I'm not against it. I could go either way.
Remove scroll of escape, I guess. But I feel like scroll of escape is, nobody likes dying to DCs and game crashes and stuff. So, let's give a Blizzard W. Actually, it's a Blizzard change. Whenever you disconnect now with the portal scroll, your character teleports to town. Which that's actually a Giga W change. I really like that.
Yep, that's a good
one. I want to say that the changes to the dungeons also make the game feel a lot better. Let me take that back down. It feels a bit better.
No, I think he had it right the first time. I actually think the dungeons feel a lot better because the events used to be completely skipped. Like you would every time I saw an event, I would actually be annoyed before in dungeons. I feel like because of the changes to events specifically, it also sort of innately made dungeons feel better because when there's an event within a dungeon, now I actually do it, which maybe that's not fundamentally like a dungeon change, but I kind of think dungeons are better, to be honest.
Let me take that down. It feels like slightly better. You're not backtracking.
I think it's mid better. I think it's a little better.
You can get to you generally speaking can get to them, but I was still backtracking a ton. I was still having to free prisoners from cages. I was still having to take all this bullshit around, bro. I feel like you just need to Blizzard. Hear me out. The Nightmare Dungeons system here, it just rework it, make it about opportunity cost, player driven choices. Let us craft the keys. Let us take out all the objectives. Just copy Path of Exile map system, but make it like really.
I mean, yes. From what I understand, it took PoE quite a bit to get maps into the iteration they're in, but I don't think is there anybody that prefers dungeons in D4 over the map system? I don't think it's like D4's bad because dungeons are, fucking dog or anything. Like they're okay, but I mean the map system is like infinitely better. If you have played PoE and you got to maps, I actually significantly like PoE maps like better. I think everyone agrees with this. I don't think look, everyone's saying no. Like no one likes the dungeons better. I completely agree. I don't think this is a hot take at all.
Really easy. Okay, just a really simple PoE. Like that's what you kind of tried to do, but honestly, the current implementation, it just feels bad. Let me tell you, it's the best feeling where you've just kind of got shitty maps and you're just running them. You don't really care. You kind of just kill a few monsters, get to the main guy, get the juice, get out. Get the juice, get out. Then you actually have a really good map. It's got good rolls on it. You juice the crap out of it, Then when you run the map, you kill every single monster. You go to every nook, every cranny. You clear that out, and you get that. It's basically player
agreed.
choice
100% agreed.
There's opportunity costs, ups and downs, like staying in the map too long. Really, you should just steal that. But
100% agree.
Add the Blizzard.
Just straight up copy it. Put the Blizzard logo, like he's about to say. 100% agree.
Touch. Also, I want to say that you probably still, when it comes to tile sets, come on. So many of the maps are still so samey. Like,
agreed,
they look
also
a little bit visually different, but they're all just like these weird tunnels with offshoots. Give us some big open areas. Give us some, some big spirals, some other stuff. I don't know, dude. Just make it a little bit different. The stash is still fucked. I don't really need to go on about that. Stash is still fucked. Aspect system, honestly, the more I play with the aspects, the more it's just an annoying chore where, I got a new piece of gear. I have to, like, switch this aspect over. Oh, it's an itemized thing that now my stash is full of aspects that I'm holding on to.
I actually completely agree with this point. Like, the aspect hopping back and forth, you can do it one time, and then you have to get another one of the perfect row. You can't carry it with you, etc. I think, what was it? He's showing Rax right now, but wasn't it Rax's feedback that what they should do is the max, if you get the maximum row, it goes to the codex and sits there permanently, I believe was in one of his feedback videos that I saw a while ago. I prefer that because otherwise, I mean, I guess maybe this is what makes legendaries even do anything, but otherwise, it does feel kind of annoying to constantly like, okay, I don't want to use my aspect because now I have to wait because this row is only 80% of a one. So sometimes I get an upgrade and still don't want to use something that's factually an upgrade because I have to use the aspect, but I'm like waiting for something that's maybe even a better upgrade. So there's some annoying times when I'll get something that's good, but I still won't use it anyway. So I actually quite like the Raxus fix.
99% of it is just legendary powers that I may use later.
And I already know which one I'm going to put on because it says, oh, this ability does 100% more damage. So it's like, it's a mandatory thing. I feel like the aspect system as it currently stands probably needs a complete redesign. Maybe you put the aspect onto the item slot and not the item itself. I don't know. And then, honestly, the way that aspects are itemized, I feel like that could also use a rework. There's been many suggestions from the community as to how you could make the aspect system a million times better, like storing them, in some sort of a crafting window. You could basically...
You know what's interesting is a lot of these complaints are all itemization and crafting based. So like dungeons can feel a little bit better if you have better items. Itemization itself, if you actually fix the way affixes feel and you make affixes that are more exciting with fixed part of itemization, crafting would then be able to be implemented because the affixes you actually care about, so you can actually target home the crafting. Like there's not a lot of... He has a lot of complaints, but honestly, these complaints can all be fixed with just focusing on a few fundamental changes, which if they do implement these changes, the game instantly gets a lot better. So it's like, I agree with his complaints here, but I also feel like D4 can fix this and can be saved. Again, you can call it copium if you want to, and I know the game is in a better state now than it was in Season 1. I actually like it significantly better now than it was at launch, but I do think Diablo 4 can become a legitimate Diablo 4 good. Like, I think that is, in fact, possible. They just have to get a few of these changes. And, I don't think he's being unreasonable. Like, legitimately, I think these are legitimate, real complaints.
Have an aspect codex which gets upgraded, or it's an aspect codex which just keeps the best version of the aspect you found. You can just use it as many times as you want. There's many ways you can do it, and you can make inventory a little bit less fucked if you really can't just add bank tabs in. I mean, goddamn. Y'all tried to help us by reducing the elixir drop rate because you wanted more room inside the elixir tab, and then you added in 20 world boss maps materials. Just give us an elixir tab. I mean, holy crap.
Bingo.
The Helltide's still shitting out elixirs. All those world boss mats that I don't know why they're itemized, but they are, even though they auto pick up. And
completely agree with this because when it would very quickly... consumable tab became full, especially if you're playing like hardcore and you want to have the extra cheat death potion and all that, scrub escape, etc. It becomes full fairly quickly.
Don't really feel like they have weight. Just give us a dedicated elixir tab at this rate. Or if you're gonna put in league mechanic stuff, like boss put that in its own tab. Loop filters. Come on.
Yep.
You added in the auto salvage, which honestly it was very noticeable in the lower world tiers, but as you get to world tier 4, you kind of just forget about it, and it's okay having the auto salvage where basically the shittier items like the
loot filter, it is now an industry standard within ARPGs to at least have the ability to have loot filters of some type. We should have these. There is no argument to be made here.
The normal items and that are kept, but the reality is, because of the way that you've decided to put eye level in to the game where it keeps going up and up and up and up and up. There is so much obsolescence that why do I want to see as eye level 660 item or an eye level? I don't care about that item.
Yes.
Just let me hide it.
Yes.
Let me hide the blue. If you're gonna add useless white and blue items into the game that are pointless and just fill up my bags, let us fill those out. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
That really is it. I guess to sum it up, Blizzard did make some changes that are pretty good, and there's some steps in the right direction, but it's far and few between. I still think the game itself has no content, and I really struggle. I basically have one thing that I want to do, which is, kill a certain boss. But yeah, effectively, there's no in-game content, and because there's no in-game content, what's the incentive to play the game? Like, what's the point of farming an uber-unique item if there's nothing to use that uber unique against, right?
To get more uber uniques, Rax.
And then I think
Quinn.
There's still massive issues.
He's not wearing a hoodie, so this should fundamentally be easy to know his name, right?
With itemization that honestly went backwards. they went backwards instead of forwards, and I feel like more people need to talk about that. So that's about it, I guess. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and what do I want to say? Oh yeah, D4 bad.
Because he is
God Gamer. All right. Before I get copyright strike for his God Gamer thing, let's give him a like. I'll put the link in the chat. I actually think these are basically 100% spot on. I don't think any of that is unreasonable. I don't think any of that is unreasonable. Go subscribe to his new YouTube channel. I agree with like 99%. The only thing I'd slightly push back on is I think dungeons are like better than just a little bit better. I think they're, instead of this much, it's like that. Okay, they're mid better. All right, I agree they're mid better. I think that's fair enough feedback. The rest of this is like, yeah, these are. I'm not going to argue with literally any of these. I think the itemization and crafting is the biggest one for me. If we got good itemization in the game and a good way to craft and add pieces of affixes on over and over again, rehone it, that and the loot filter and crafting related to maps or basically dungeons, add those, we really got something, boys. But anyway, shout out to Quinn. That was a good video.